Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, where we help you solve a critical business issue in 20 minutes or less. I'm your host, Jon Hubbard, Shareholder and Chief Growth Officer at Boomer Consulting, and with me today is Kendall Jones. Kendall is a marketing manager at Whitley Penn. Kendall, thank you for being on this episode of the podcast.
I'm excited to be here, Jon. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we have a fun topic around the impact of marketing in your firm. While certainly the marketing role is not new at all within the accounting profession and with firms, I think we are seeing a quick rise to prominence, a quick rise to significance in the firm of helping firms grow smarter, not harder. So Kendall, I just want to start with kind of giving you an opportunity to share a little bit about your role and how you found Whitley Penn.
Sure. So I started at Whitley Penn when I was an intern, actually. So just a few years ago, I was an intern over the summer in our Dallas office, and then had a great internship, tackled a lot throughout that internship. I think for those listening, we had an acquisition, we had a firm-wide retreat with 500 people that attended. We kind of tackled it all. We launched a new intranet that summer. So it was a really jam-packed summer throughout my internship. It was really exciting. We were on our toes. We were a very small team. So it was fun to be a part of that. Then I came back once I graduated from school, and I started as a marketing coordinator in our Houston office. It's been awesome to be in this space. There's a lot of young leaders in and around the Houston office and just the firm in general. So it's fun to be a part of. And I've leaned in a little bit to the digital marketing space. So I'm now technically digital marketing manager, and I lead a couple designers, a digital marketing specialist, and then kind of the strategy and distribution of how our messages get out and how they can be best received by those that are viewing them. So it's been a really awesome kind of start to my career, but the internship was the beginning. So really thankful for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, and we can dive into the digital piece here shortly. But I do want to touch on briefly the impact of that internship. So no matter who you talk to today within the accounting profession, everyone's talking about recruiting. Everyone's talking about, retaining the best and the brightest, or attracting the best and the brightest. Can you just real briefly talk about the power of that marketing internship and how it ultimately kind of sold you on the firm?
Yeah, sure. So what attracted me to the internship was just the team of people that I would be working with. So some really strong personalities, kind of everyone had their focus, and I just came in with a new perspective, kind of challenging some processes that had taken place for a long time, but thinking through new ways to accomplish the same thing potentially more efficiently. So the internship was truly the catalyst to me kind of, falling in love with the accounting industry a little bit. There's challenges, there's benefits, and it's really fun to work with all of the personalities involved. So the personalities on our team, the personalities that you're truly marketing for. I think marketing for professional services is so unique in a lot of ways because you're not just marketing the service, which is the product, but the personality of the person providing the service and how they would like to do business. And there's a lot of kind of opinions working there, but it's a fun challenge. And it's been super rewarding since I had that internship for sure.
That's great. So would you say it's a fair statement to say maybe when you first joined Whitley Penn full-time, you were more of a marketing generalist where you were doing so many different things,
Yes.
marketing, but then you say you've kind of leaned into that digital marketing space. One thing I would like for you to share a little bit of, about before we dive into the digital piece is when you join Whitley Penn as a marketing manager or as a marketing generalist, what are some of the key things you focused on just to maybe further establish yourself in the firm, maybe learn about the firm and its services so you could properly market?
So it's really funny going from being that intern to that full-time value add operations employee. That was really intimidating to me in a lot of ways because I was scared of being seen as the intern once I came back full time. I didn't want that to be kind of my place in the Houston office. I wanted to really be a value add ops employee, and I wanted to get to know the professionals, get to know the partners. So something that I did when I first came to the Houston office right out of college was schedule these one-on-one meetings with partners here in the office, with senior managers, just to get to know them, get to talk about their goals a little bit. What are they looking to do with their practice? Questions that I don't think some of them had been asked in quite some time. So it was fun to sit down, 30 minutes on their calendar, walk into their office with a notepad, and just talk through big ideas that they had for the future. Some of them, again, hadn't thought about that. So it was interesting to see their wheels turn, or I quickly could find, okay, that's an opportunity for marketing to improve. I remember sitting in those meetings, and one thing kept coming up over and over again, and it was invite lists for weddings, or not weddings, sorry. Can we edit that? Events. So invite lists for events. Don't know why that's on the brain, but invite lists for events was something that I noticed everyone kept mentioning. And so very tiny opportunity there for us to improve that process. But it allowed me to get their buy-in really quickly in figuring out a way to directly apply their feedback. Hey, marketing, let's make a better process to gather our event list and our invite list, and let's make that less intensive for the partners themselves. So little things like that came from those meetings. There were a lot of notes. There were a lot of things that I kept in mind for future use when people had certain goals that they would share with me, or different things that they were looking to do with their practice. I would write that down. I would bank it in my head for later. And I think it established rapport with those individuals. It showed them Kendall's here to help me. She's here to work alongside me to reach my goals. And I think it started our conversations on a really, really awesome note, when it comes to me truly being a resource for the first time from a marketing perspective in a new office.
I think that was probably really refreshing for the partners to be able to have even just 30 minutes where
Mm-hmm.
someone was really dialed into them, asking about, things related to their services, their client base, their successes, their challenges. Probably for some of them, it was the first time, you say, you know, uh, maybe several of them hadn't thought
Right.
about it. Well, they hadn't probably had anyone ask them either, And in some ways, it's really interesting as our firms continue to evolve and our profession has continued to look to provide new services, additional
Mm-hmm.
types of services because our clients trust us so much. It's, I would say it's often unfair to think that a partner that he or she would have to know how to develop all the strategy and do all the marketing and do all the sales and do all the delivery and do all the technical expertise. It's
Exactly.
like, no, we need experts across the firm that know know which questions to ask, when to ask those questions, how to create strategies, around those. So I think that's just a really great
Mm-hmm.
story of you took the initiative to do that, right out of the gate. Now, can you share a little bit with us about what your role has evolved into? You say your title now is digital marketing manager. Obviously, digital's not going anywhere anytime soon with regards to how firms are choosing to grow, how to get their brand out there, market, things of that sort. So, when you say digital, what are the types of things you're
So
spending your
it is funny
time
that you say that.
doing?
Digital marketing is kind of the direction that all marketing is going. So it is interesting that that's my title currently, but I'm noticing the hand that the team members that I work closest with play, and their role really ties directly into the communication strategy, or to the design strategy, or the public relations strategy, just in a lot of different ways. Yes, title is digital marketing manager, but I think you're absolutely right. We're going in a direction where all marketing has a digital aspect. So I think that's interesting. The items that I focus my time on now primarily are our CRM. So we launched and built our CRM in the last 18 months, built a couple really fun custom integrations through that process. So led that charge, kind of project managed a couple third parties in the midst of all of that. I also focus on the firm's intranet, so our internal site that the employees access that has resources on it and truly embodies the Whitley Penn employer brand and our internal culture. So we built that. We continue to add to it all the time. That actually was redesigned and launched in February of this year. And then the kind of last big piece there is the website. So our whitleypenn.com and then our wealth management site as well, manage both of those. Edits, changes, processes, anything the comms team wants to do from a strategy perspective, all of that runs through and is tracked on our website, which excitedly we are launching a new one of in December as well. So that will be new intranet and new website in a calendar year. Very busy.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
that is a lot there. So it sounds like most things digital there at the firm. I think every time, at least I bring up through conversations, whether it's at our marketing circle meeting or whether it is at, client engagements, things of that
Mm-hmm.
sort, most firms look around and say, we need a CRM. A lot of firms, though, also say, but we'll never be able to have it, or not anytime soon. And I think that's one of the real important
Mm-hmm.
aspects of a digital marketing role in a firm is really
Right.
how can we start to centralize the contacts, the relationships, within an organization. So, and I've gotten the privilege of hearing about your
Mm-hmm.
CRM project over the last several months as well. And it's really awesome just to kind of see the progress you've made and then ultimately being able to launch that is great. As you look to the future of your role and digital, maybe this is kind of a hard question to answer, but as you look 3 years out or 5 years out, not asking for perfection here, but what types of things do you think a digital marketing leader in an
So
accounting
it's really
firm
interesting. We kind of
will be
chatted
spending
through
their time
this
doing?
when we were prepping, but I don't know title specific. I think titles are ever evolving. It comes down to what you do day to day. But in general, I'm seeing my role lean to be more of a liaison between operations groups. So as a digital marketing manager, kind of that's where my focus lies. There's things on the intranet where I need to connect a bunch of different service lines, client facing service lines, or internal service line groups, and make sure that everyone's on the same page. How can we make their messages easier to access by the firm and be truly an advocate for the tools that exist there? Same thing with the CRM. So, how can we truly work with IT, make it an efficient running machine? Where can we connect it with RPM, our revenue practice management group? So where are opportunities to bring billing together with CRM, with these other tools, expense tracking? So kind of becoming that person to look for not only client facing opportunities with our CRM, but connecting and integrating different softwares at large. Where's the value and how can marketing teams and sales teams alike use some of that information to drive new growth and current client growth moving forward? So I think I kind of said it's feeling like a Venn diagram of some sort where you've got marketing and marketing overlaps with IT and the technology team and that
Mhm.
overlaps with billing and it overlaps with our business development team. And so just kind of I see myself as serving as some sort of liaison within those teams and making sure everyone's on the same page for sure.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, another way I would describe that role is that internal dot connector between, various departments. And I think one thing firms sometimes overlook is there is
Absolutely.
messaging and communication in every department, both internally and externally, and how that impacts,
Mm-hmm.
the brand's perception internally or externally, and things of that sort are wildly important. And so I'm under no, and I love too how your answer there, which I think speaks to the strategy at which you're operating at Whitley Penn, is your answer to a question around digital marketing wasn't first about all the
Right.
AI tools, all the different softwares out there, and all those things are true, right? All those things are baked into your role where you're having to keep an eye on those tools and how are those being leveraged and how could they be leveraged, as well. But I think for our listeners, that's an interesting insight that you were focusing on that dot connecting, on that internal liaison, that strategy, because that is where the true value of your role lies. So, for kind of my final question, Kendall, for those listening, if someone was thinking
Mhm.
about either elevating their marketing person within the firm to increase their impact, or whether they were thinking about bringing on maybe their first marketing person or maybe adding to the team, what's your advice or perspective for them
I
of maybe
think,
why they should really strongly consider that?
sorry, can you ask the question one more time, John? Hmm.
Sure. Yeah. So if a firm is out there listening and they're thinking, you know what, this is not the first time I've heard around having a marketing role in our firm, or maybe we have someone that's kind of doing it half time as part of their role, but they're starting to feel like, hey, we really do need a strong marketing presence in our firm. What's your advice to them on maybe, encouraging them to continue to think about that or
I
ultimately
think
making the
the having
decision
the skill set of a marketing
to
team
bring that person on
is
board?
something that a lot of firms, accounting specifically, can easily look past. It doesn't feel like you need it until you have it, and then you don't think that you could live without it. So what I mean by that is the attention to detail in things like internal communications or external communications, very important. But when you think about recruiting and you think about branding and you think about how can we keep our people, making sure that there's a good communications team behind everything happening internally is paramount. We communicate with and work with the recruiting team. We work with our HR people team. We work with IT. We play this role, and I think that marketing professionals out there in general would agree. Marketing plays this role of that connector, the dot connector. The We have the relationships with the professionals, but then we have the relationships with the people on the other operations teams, and how can we be a voice and make sure that everyone's voice is heard, but then also that we're communicating others' voices when they're not around. So truly being that dot connector and making sure that not only is the external marketing strategy taken care of, that's always good, but internally making sure that that culture is communicated well and that people are feeling connected even when they may not be physically connected, especially now. So I would say marketing is one of those things where it's growing in value. I would say from a digital marketing perspective specifically. Obviously, all marketing digital is kind of where we're going. AI, there's a lot of tools involved in that, as you mentioned, but from a strategy perspective and kind of that 10,000, 30,000 foot view, marketing is truly in all the places all the time. So how can we make sure that we're capitalizing on using the knowledge in the people's heads that are in all the places all the time and make sure that um, we're using that kind of knowledge to drive the firm forward for sure.
That's really, really, really well said.
Mm-hmm.
And something you said that I've heard over and over and over again for those firms that have truly brought on that marketing leader, and he or she has gotten a chance to really establish their role, is once you have it, taking it away seems impossible. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we cannot lose the skill set, we cannot lose this individual or this perspective. And, I can close us out here with even tying to my intro with the sense that every firm
Mm-hmm.
out there is trying to grow more strategically. They're trying to grow smarter, not harder, as we sometimes say. They're trying to grow existing clients. They're trying to get internal operational teams, internal functional areas, departments to work more strategically and collaboratively together to grow. And marketing is an absolute center of that. So, Kendall, thank you for your advice. Thank you for sharing your perspective and your story. For those listening to this podcast, if you enjoy the conversation we just had, we release new episodes every Tuesday morning. Topics range from leadership, talent, technology, process, and growth. Marketing is included in growth. The common theme among all those topics is we release, or that those topics are relevant to your firm's success. So again, we release new episodes every Tuesday morning. So thank you for listening, and please subscribe.